Hey guys, Brian Kelly here from Zombie Guitar. Here in today's video, I want to do a follow-up of the video that I did yesterday where I showed you guys how to jam along with backing tracks by using a digital audio workstation and plugging your guitar into your computer and then jamming along with the backing track inside of the digital audio workstation. That's what yesterday's video was about. I got some comments on that video where people were saying, why would you go through all that trouble? Like, why would you need to get an interface and a digital audio workstation and an amp simulation program? Why would you need to do all this stuff when you could just simply turn on YouTube and type in backing track and then plug your guitar into your amp and just jam along that way? Of course you can do that. You may even have an amp that has an aux-in input. I have one right here. I have my little Boss Katana Mini. It has an aux-in input right here. I could just plug, my phone right into there. I could then plug my guitar right into the input, and then the backing track will be coming out of the amp. The music that I'm playing from my guitar will be coming out of the amp. So that's a way. But I didn't go through all of that. I didn't make that video to show you guys how to do all that stuff just to jam with backing tracks. That's one of a million things that you could do. If you just want to jam with backing tracks, there's a lot of easier ways to do that. But if you want to get all of the benefits that come with understanding how to work in a digital audio workstation, that's what yesterday's video was about. I don't think I made that point clear enough. So in today's video, I'm going to make that point very, very clear, and I'm going to give you 10 different reasons why you need to be working in a DAW ASAP. So number one, a digital audio workstation, or DAW for short, is a metronome on steroids. So what's the point of working with a metronome? That is to give you specific quantifiable goals. So if you're trying to play something at a tempo of 155 BPMs, for example, that's your goal, but you can't quite do that yet. But you can play whatever it is that you're trying to play at maybe 110 BPMs. You know exactly where you're at. So play it at 110 BPMs, then push yourself to try and get to maybe 115 BPMs. As you get closer and closer to your goal of 155 BPMs, you may not be able to jump 5 at a time. By the time you get to 150, maybe 151 BPMs is going to be like super, super hard that it'll take you like a full week just to make that additional jump. That's the benefit of training to a metronome. It gives you quantifiable goals. But when you work in a DAW, you can do the exact same thing, but you can have an entire backing track to work with. You can have the drums, the bass, the vocals, whatever you want. You can have the entire song, and you can speed it up or slow it down. So here's an example of a solo that I started working on. So I know I'm at 120 BPMs now. I know that I have to get to 155 BPMs. I can slowly just turn up the knob and just kind of programming my brain in that manner. So that is the number one thing. It is a metronome on steroids. Number two, it allows you to hear subdivisions. So the difference between one person playing a solo that sounds perfect and clean and just super articulate, and another person that plays the exact same solo but it sounds sloppy, is because the first person is perfectly hitting the subdivisions, whereas the second person, they're not. The brain somehow can interpret when someone is perfectly hitting sextuplets or perfectly hitting 16th notes or something like that, even when it's at a high BPM. So when you hear a guitar player that's just like flying up and down the neck and every single note is just so perfectly articulated, that's because they are nailing those subdivisions. The closer that you are at nailing those subdivisions, the better that your fast playing is going to sound. So although the brain can interpret this as being sloppy or not sloppy, it's still tough to kind of take this and like whittle it down to a slower speed so that you can actually understand what's going on. So if you want to hear what sextuplets sounds like versus 16th notes, basically a sextuplet is you're fitting in 6 notes for every click of the metronome, whereas a 16th note is just 4 notes for every click of the metronome. If you want to hear the difference between sextuplets and 16th notes, you're going to want to do it at a slower speed. You're going to want to lower the BPM down, lower the tempo down, so you can really hear those 6 notes versus those 4 notes. But then when you crank up the tempo up to whatever the speed is, let's say it's 155 BPMs or something like that, both of them are going to sound fast, but it's going to be 2 different types of fast. There's the 16th note type of fast, and then there's the sextuplet note type of fast. So messing around in a DAW allows you to do this. It allows you to program this stuff in. It allows you to increase or decrease the tempo and really work this subdivision stuff out. So that's the second thing. So the third thing is that it allows you to make your own backing tracks. So let's say that you're trying to work on a solo and you can't find the backing track for the solo anywhere. Sure, you can pop on YouTube and you can jam along with the YouTube video of the song, or you can jam along with the song in a bunch of different ways, but you really want to have a specific backing track that you have the control over. Going back to point number 1, the whole metronome on steroids thing, so you can decrease the tempo or increase the tempo. You really just want to have this backing track that you can do that with. One that preferably doesn't have the lead guitar part in it, so you can practice your own leads and stuff like that. You can easily just make backing tracks inside of a DAW. It's super easy to just make up a backing track to sound like the song that I'm trying to practice. If I want to get it 100% perfect to sound exactly like the song, I could do that. It's going to take some work. But if I just want to kind of just get a quick mock-up backing track, like I'm working like that example I showed you, that's a Children of Bodom solo. It's kind of an obscure song, so maybe I could find one on the internet somewhere, but it's not going to be easy. It was much easier just to make up that backing track myself. I might have spent 10 minutes on it or something like that, but now I have a backing track to that song, so I can practice that solo, and I can adjust the speed of it. And then the fourth reason, and this is kind of an extension to the last point, and that is that you can write full songs in a DAW. So I do this all the time. As of now, I have 5 full songs uploaded to my YouTube channel, all 100% done in Reaper. I play the guitar, that's my main instrument. I can play a little bit of the drums, I can play a little bit of keys, I can play a little bit of bass. Now, I know guitar players will say that if you can play guitar, then you can play bass. That's not really true. Bass is its own instrument. It's a percussive instrument. To be a really good bass player takes a lot of time and focus on learning how to play the bass. I can play the bass like I play the guitar, but I'm not going to call myself a bass player. Anyway, point being, my specialty is the guitar. I just want to write music, and I just want to have the drums taken care of. I want to have the bass taken care of. I want to have the keyboard part taken care of. I want to be able to add in additional sounds and stuff like that. That can all be done in a DAW. Reason number 5, it allows you to write music that you are currently not good enough to play yourself, but your computer is good enough. Anything that you input into the computer, it is going to play it back to you, and it's going to play it perfectly 100% of the time, and everything is going to be exactly what perfection sounds like. So let's say that you want to play an arpeggio solo. Let's say that you want this arpeggio solo to be played at 130 BPMs. Let's say that the subdivisions of the notes that you're playing are going to be sextuplets. So for every click of the metronome, you want to be fitting 6 notes in. That is pretty fast. So let's say that that's above what you are currently able to do, but you would love to be able to hear what that solo that you have in your head sounds like. Just put it into the DAW and have it play it back for you. If that sounds too crazy and complicated and something that you're not capable of doing, dial back the tempo. Dial it back to maybe 80 BPMs or something like that. Dial it back to a speed that you can play it at, and then just work your speed up slowly. It may take you a month, it may take you 2 months, it may take you a year, who knows? At least you have specific quantifiable goals, and you know exactly what the thing sounds like that you had in your head, all thanks to the computer. Now, I'm not like a super die-hard Polyphia fan. I definitely respect them. They're great musicians, but I don't really listen to them that much. But I have heard that Tim Henson does this. I heard that he writes all of his music inside of a DAW, and then he just learns how to play it after he writes it. So if it's working for him, it's probably not a bad idea. So pretty cool, huh? So that's the 5th reason. Reason number 6, and this is the thing that people typically think of when they first think of a DAW. You can record yourself. Now, this is obvious, but I can't overstate the benefits of recording yourself enough. The most improvement that I've made in my entire life as a guitar player, I think, has come since I started doing this YouTube channel, and I attribute that to the fact that I record myself all the time. I'm constantly making these demos and stuff for the beginnings of my YouTube videos and stuff, and you know, I may lay down the track the first time, and then I go back and listen to the track. I'll be like, oh, that bend was, you know, I overbent that note, or that timing was off there. I just hear all of these little mistakes, and I'm like, that's how bad I am, you know? The recording is not going to lie to you. You hear yourself in a recording, that is the most honest feedback you're ever going to get. So, yeah, record yourself. So reason number 7 is amp simulation software. Now, there's a million different ways that you can take your electric guitar and plug it into something and get nice tone. You can plug into an amp. You can plug into a solid-state amp. You can plug into a tube amp. You can plug into all these different modeling units, these different modeling pedals and stuff like that. There is definitely no shortage of ways that you can get a cool guitar tone out of something for pretty cheap. The main reason that I like amp sims is number 1, convenience. I am constantly making YouTube videos. I'm constantly at my computer. I love the fact that I can just take my guitar, plug it right into the interface, which is how I get the sound into my computer, and then all of my tone is done right there on my computer. But the main thing is that when you use an amp sim within a DAW, you can alter the sound of your recorded guitar tone after the recording has already been done. That is huge. So if you were to record, you know, a guitar part, let's say that you have a backing track already made and you just want to add some guitar part to it, right? And you have an amp, you stick a microphone in front of your amp, you have your guitar tone all dialed in, you record that guitar tone, well, it's going to be what it's going to be. You can maybe add some more effects to that guitar tone, but you're not really going to be able to remove distortion, you're not going to be able to remove delay or reverb, you're not really going to be able to alter the tone too much. But when you record your guitar part using an amp simulation program inside of a DAW, so again, you have the backing track already ready for you, ready to add your guitar part to, you plug your guitar right into your interface, you play your guitar part, you record it into your DAW, the signal that you sent into your computer from your guitar is just a completely clean, unaffected signal. That's all that your computer got. All of that amp simulation stuff, all of the distortion, all the reverb, all of the delay, all of the effects and stuff like that, that's been added by the program. What that means is that you can have your recording done, you can have your guitar part all finished and everything, you can sit back and listen to it and you can be like, I don't like that tone, you know, I want to take distortion out, I want to change the type of delay, I want to put different reverb on there, whatever you want to do, you can completely alter the tone. So a lot of times I'll sit there, I'll lay down my initial guitar recording, and then I'll put my guitar down, and then I'll spend the next half hour or so just dialing in my guitar tone to fit to the track that's already been pre-recorded. So that's something that's possible by using an amp sim. So reason number 8 is you will be introduced to the world of synthesizers. So if you were like me 4 years ago, you really could care less about synthesizers. You might see people playing them. Kind of looks like a keyboard, but it makes funny sounds. That's what I thought a synthesizer was. Once I started working in a DAW, I've come to find that there's just this entire world out there that I was not previously aware of prior to, getting into this DAW stuff. So I add a synth part to literally every single song I ever make, whether it's a full song, whether it's a backing track. You might not hear it. It may not be like 80s music, like blatantly obvious, like this super like whatever, but it's just, you can do so much stuff. It just, all these like little background sounds and stuff like that, just like a layer just to fill up the song, like something just doesn't sound full enough, even with the like multiple guitar parts, drums, bass, and stuff like that. Something's just not full enough. You just add like a synth part to it, like a synth pad part. It just fills out the song so much more. I could literally talk for hours about how awesome synthesizers are, but I want to keep this video relatively short. The one that I use is Serum. It's a $200 program or $200 plugin that you incorporate with your DAW. I've been using that one for a few years now. Check that one out. There's a bunch of other synthesizers out there, a bunch of free synthesizers. DAW Noisemaker, that's a free synthesizer. That's a lot of fun. But yeah, just the world of synthesis, sound design, all that stuff. It'll blow your mind if you haven't currently been doing it. So that's the 8th reason. So reason number 9 is you are going to gain an entirely new level of respect for sound guys. So prior to working in a DAW, I didn't really know what sound guys did. I mean, I knew kind of what they did. I know that they're there. They plug in some wires. If the guitar is not loud enough, they turn it up. If the bass is too loud, they turn it down. I pretty much thought that that was the extent of what the sound guy does. But after working in a DAW for a while, after writing my own music, after writing full songs and attempting to mix them myself and working with compression and working with EQ and limiters and stuff like that, I've learned that there's this whole world out there that I don't know much about. Like, I've learned a lot over the last 4 years. I've taught myself a bunch of stuff on YouTube. I'm getting okay at it, I guess, but I'm definitely an amateur. I'm far from a sound engineer. So these guys, these professional sound guys, that's the stuff they're doing. I had no idea. I talked to a sound guy after I started to get into this stuff. I'm like, hey, are you doing compression and EQ and all this stuff? He's like, yeah, man, what do you think I'm doing? Just controlling levels of instruments? I was like, yeah, I thought that's all you do. He's like, no, man, there's so much more to sound than just, you know, changing the levels. So anyway, there is a whole world out there that is sound engineering, and working in a DAW will give you that respect, as it did for me. That's reason number 9. And then my 10th and final reason is, if you are a musician, which I'm assuming you are if you're watching this video, then you will have more fun playing in a DAW, at least this is true for me, than any video game you could possibly find. I had friends back in school, back in high school and stuff like that. They got all hooked on those games. I had friends that would sit there and they would play these games for like days and days and days straight. And I understand it. I can understand how you can get so involved into a video game where you just don't want to leave your house for like a week. But I never really got into video games like that. But when I work in a DAW, like when I sit down at a DAW and I'm like, okay, I'm going to write a song, 16 hours goes by like that. Like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. There's so much stuff you can do, especially when you start adding in these additional sounds, these synthesizer sounds and stuff like that, and creating your own bass lines and making up your own drum parts and stuff like that. Yes, it's all computer simulated stuff like that, but again, as I said, my main thing is guitar. I just want to play the guitar parts. When it comes to all of the music that surrounds my guitar parts, that's what the computer is there for me. I can spend tons of time just writing that backing music, and yeah, that's that. So yeah, that's my 10th reason. It is just the most fun thing in the entire world. Alright, so if you want to stick around for the rest of this video, I'm now going to play for you the very first song that I ever wrote in a DAW. So this is done with using just guitars and my computer, nothing else. So this whole entire thing took me roughly 2 weeks to do. That's from writing the song, laying down all the tracks, doing multiple guitar parts, doing all the mixing, making the video. So this whole entire thing took me about 2 weeks, and that was my first attempt at doing it. So I do believe that anyone can do it if you really give this a shot. So the link to this song is also going to be down in the description below this video as well, if you just want to go straight to the video of this song if you like it. I appreciate you watching it. I appreciate you watching this video. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.